Hi guys, James at Rampant Lion Reviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to head over to New England in America once again, and we're going to revisit a brewery that I only introduced you to for the first time a couple of videos back. But this is a brewery that has a little bit of a kind of cult following when it comes to the New England IPAs. So for this one we are going to return to Waterbury in Vermont, a very small little village of only about 1,500 people, very close to where Ben and Jerry's is made, and we're having a go at the second year-round beer from the Alchemist Brewery. So this one is the Focal Banger. It comes in at 7% ABV, and this one is a regular IPA rather than the double IPA, which of course was Heady Topper. But this one's hopped with Citron Mosaic apparently, and it uses a British malt base. So really curious to see how this one turns out. It's a beer that has another very high rating, and I was quite lucky actually to come across this one at the Mikkeller Beer Celebration over in Copenhagen. They were selling this actually in the Mikkeller General Store, which I was really surprised about, because normally these Alchemist beers are very, very difficult to get over here in Europe. You can only usually get them by trading and stuff like that. So really looking forward to trying this one. I did enjoy trying the Heady Topper, and as always I hope you guys enjoy my take on this beer. So anyway, as is usual with my reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery. If you want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my other reviews that I've done from the Alchemist before. Hopefully I can add some more in the near future, but like I said, they've only got 2 year-round beers, so I'm not sure how likely that is. Maybe I can go and visit them. We'll need to just see. There's all the usual social media. If you want to see more beer reviews, do please consider subscribing to the channel. The whole channel, of course, has a geography-based tagging system, so you can go into the homepage and search for beer based on country, city, state, county, prefecture, whatever it is you're interested in. Do check out the playlists of beers from different countries. There is one there for all the American beers that I've reviewed for you. That's constantly being added to. And as always, please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries that you guys would like to see me review. It's always great to hear from you guys that are watching the videos, and the support that you show the channel is hugely appreciated. So anyway, to tell you a little bit about the Alchemist Brewery then, on to my brewery notes. So the Alchemist Brewery, as I've told you before, was opened by John and Jenny Kimmich as a 60-seater brew pub in Waterbury, Vermont back in 2003. And as I mentioned, this is only a very, very small village of somewhere in the region of 5,000 people, and it can be found in central Vermont, right in the dead centre of the state. If you think where Boston is, to the southeast, and then Montreal, I believe it is, to the kind of to the northwest, it's about 2/3 of the way from Boston up to Montreal in Canada, or Quebec, however you want to say it. But John apparently had moved to Vermont back in 1994, having just graduated from Penn State, very prestigious American state school that. But he wanted to learn about the craft beer industry, and to do this he sought out Greg Noonan, who was really quite a revered and pioneering New England brewer at the time. But he just opened up the 7 Barrel Brewery, and so John worked there for a period as a waiter. But apparently it wasn't very good, so it was only a very, very short spell that he spent there. But later he went on to be the head brewer at Vermont Pub and Brewery in Burlington, and it was there that he met Jen, and apparently she asked him out after trying his beer, after originally saying no to him after he chased her from seeing her down in the cellar one day. But later they decided to open up a brew pub together on the main street in Waterbury, and this went very, very well, and it became a big hit in the village. It became a bit of a social hub where a lot of the locals were coming in and drinking beer and stuff like that. After about 8 years of success, in 2011 they decided to take the plunge and invest in a small production brewery, and this was where they built their first thing that was called the Alchemist Cannery, and it was only a very small kind of 15-barrel brewery that they had, and a canning line as well, and this is where they brew Heady Topper exclusively from what I understand. But they opened up a second brewery in Stowe, which is about 10 miles or so to the north, back in 2016, and this is where this one, Focal Banger, is brewed, along with the various seasonal beers and one-offs that they do. But as of May 2019, when I'm filming this review, according to Rate Beer and Untappd, they've produced somewhere in the region of 90 different beers. So the artwork that you'll find on these cans, mainly on the Heady Topper and the Focal Banger, is by an artist from Rhode Island, and his name is Dan Blakesley. And the artwork on this one is a little bit different from what you'll find on their seasonal beers and their kind of one-offs that they do. So the Heady Topper and the Focal Banger artwork does look quite a little bit different from the other ones. The artwork on the other beers is nice, but it's not quite as eye-catching and as kind of well known as the stuff on the Focal Banger or the Heady Topper. But yeah, that's all you really need to know about the Alchemist Brewery for the moment. If you want to learn a little bit more, of course, you can check out the brewery website and you can follow them on Facebook and Twitter and stuff like that, and that'll keep you up to date with all the latest goings on. Particularly if you follow the Instagram and the Untappd and stuff, you'll see all of the updates with the new beers and things that are coming out from them. But as I say, usually it's only the Heady Topper and the Focal Banger that are the year-round beers. Everything else is brewed as kind of one-off or as a seasonal batch. But yeah, let's get on to the actual tasting of this beer itself then. I'm really curious to see how the little brother of the Heady Topper comes out. So yeah, Focal Banger, I'll just let you have a little look at the artwork of this before we open up. Dan Blakesley's artwork there. Really nice to present. Just tilt it so the light doesn't reflect off it too much, but there you can see. Apparently the artwork on these ones is supposed to be a little bit of a self-portrait, so Dan said he was a little bit kind of vain in the article that I was reading, and his art did turn into a little bit of a self-portrait of him drinking the beers. But on the back here it says, Focal Banger is an American India Pale Ale. We have a real love for IPAs here at the Alchemist, and we strive to offer you the best hop experience that we possibly can. This beer is brewed using Citron Mosaic hops and our favourite British malts. Truly an abundance of hoppy goodness. Freshness and control have always been my main concern when it comes to our beer. We're committed to providing you with an unfiltered and unpasteurised hop experience. Why do I recommend that you drink it from the can? Quite simply to ensure a delightful hop experience. The act of pouring it in a glass smells nice, but it releases the essential hop aromas that we have worked so hard to retain. If you must pour it into a glass, you may find that some of the hop resins have settled to the bottom. Leave them in the can when pouring. This beer is perishable and it's best when it is young, fresh and hazy. Keep it cold but not ice cold. Drink this beer today, you could be dead tomorrow. John Kimmich, The Alchemist. If you want to have a little pause at that and read it to yourself, there you are. But yeah, as I say, it's 7% New England IPA, this one, hopped with Citron Mosaic. So Citra, very, very well known. Mosaic becoming more and more popular these days, having been around, I think, since around maybe 2015 or so. I think Mosaic was really getting popular. But yeah, I'm really curious just to see how this one turns out. So I did test with the Heady Topper, drinking it out of the can and also drinking it out of the glass. So what I'll do is I'll pour some of it into the glass because we need the see-through glass to see the colour and all this, but I will take some sips and smells out of the can as well, as we did in the Heady Topper review, just because they're so insistent on it. But yeah, let's get this guy out then and we will get on with the tasting. I'm really curious to see how this beer turns out. This one, of course, I should have mentioned, this is an American can, so I think it's an American pint actually. Yeah, 1 American pint, so I think that's around 470 millilitres or something like that, 473 I want to say. But as I always say, I always complain about the American liquid measurements. Because, you know, they're not based on nature. I don't know what they're based on actually. Usually the ones that we use in Europe, the millilitres and litres, are of course based on the properties of water, the universal solvent. Thing from my chemistry master degree that has come in useful. So yeah, as you can see with this one then, it's poured a lovely sort of bright yellow. Not unusual for an IPA. You can get them being a little bit more kind of orangey stuff like this. Sorry, I got something in my throat. But yeah, you can get them usually being a little bit more orangey than this. This is definitely one of the more bright yellow ones that I've come across. There's a solid half finger of a frothy, I would say perfect white head on this one. It really kind of comes across very nicely actually. You can smell some of these lovely fruity notes coming out of this beer. Just when we're sugaring it around, but you can see there's a little bit of haze to this one, but this is nowhere near as hazy as some of the New England IPAs that you're going to get. Bear in mind though, there might be a little bit of resin at the bottom of the can there, so we will have a taste of the beer out of the can as well. But yeah, 1 or 2 big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass and a few little ones just heading up towards the bottom of that head there. If you hold it up to the light, you can see little tiny bits of particle sediment just floating around, and that will be parts of the yeast and parts of the wheaty side of the malts and things like that. But yeah, it looks lovely. Nothing particularly surprising about this one in terms of its appearance when you consider that it is a New England IPA. So yeah, let's take a closer look at the aroma then and just see how we get on with this one. So yeah, straight away, to me this one smells a lot juicier than the Heady Topper actually. But yeah, the 2 hops in this one are really quite distinctive. I mean, Citra always gives you this nice juicy mango note, and you get that straight away out of this one. The Mosaic gives you a more of a kind of slightly oily tangerine orange, and you get both of these out of this beer in abundance, to be honest with you. So it's nice. juicy mangoes, a kind of lighter and juicier tangerine orange, but you can also get some of the complexities out of this beer. You get a little touch of an almost kind of lychee quality to it. Maybe there's even a little bit of a gooseberry note, and definitely in the aroma with this one, I think there's a good little bit of a limey note for me. Of course, you can get the complexities that you'll get out of Citra. I mean, you can get lychees, you can get gooseberries, you get lemon limey qualities sometimes from Citra. It really depends on what you use in the malt base and what other hops you mix it with that gives you these flavours. But to me, it does have a little bit of a limey quality to it. You can definitely pick up some lychees. I'd maybe reverse my statement that there was gooseberry in there. I think it's more of a limey quality that I'm picking up, to be honest, now that I think about it. But yeah, mangoes, oranges, lychees, a little bit of a limey note as well. There's almost a little touch of, you know, a really kind of lemony quality too, a sort of lemon limey note. Yeah, but it smells really nice and fruity and juicy. On the green side of the hops then, I would say this one is quite... It does have a good little bit of floral quality to it, but I think it leans more towards the grassy side of things, and it's quite a pungent grassy note that comes out of this beer, to be honest. It's the lemony, limey citrus really mixes in with the grassy components of this beer, I think. The malty side of the things, I'd say it's got a nice kind of smooth, bready note to it, but you can smell there is a degree of graininess to this beer, and I noticed that in the Heady Topper as well. Actually, there was a degree of graininess to that beer, and I've always found that the English malts, I'm pretty sure that it is English malt rather than Scotch malt that's in this one. The Americans always like to say British, and it's like the, but yeah, with the malts that are in this one, I think it might be a little bit of Maris Otter or something like that. There could be a few other things in there as well, right enough. But the English malt's always quite distinctive because of that little graininess that it has. German malt, for example, is very, very smooth. The American malts are a little bit sweeter, and of course the Vienna malts, they are known for their kind of biscuity, caramelly notes and stuff. The Austrian malts, and you get malts from all over the place, to be honest with you. But the English malts in particular is one of the traditional malts. They do have this distinct graininess, so it's got a nice kind of smooth white wheaty bread sort of thing, but there is just a little bit of that graininess in there forming the linchpin of the beer. But the aroma in this one is very nice and very smooth actually. But we'll take a little quick look at it in the can and just see if that makes any difference. Yeah, when you go into the can and have a smell of it, you can definitely smell that it becomes a bit more floral and spicy. So to be honest with you, I can see what they mean about the sort of resinous, hoppy resin quality kind of lingering there in the can. Like I say, we'll take a bit of a taste from the can as well as the glass. But yeah, it does. To me, when you smell it out of the can like that, it's mainly just sort of floral aromaticity and resinous kind of things that you get. You don't get much of the fruit or the juiciness sort of thing. But yeah, as I always say, take a little bit of time and enjoy the aroma of the beer before you get stuck into it. But we are going to have a taste of this one now. So this one is the Focal Banger, a 7% New England IPA from the Alchemist Brewery in Waterbury, Vermont, over in America. Let's get stuck in. Slàinte, skål. Yeah, I have to say, again, pretty nice. It's always interesting, like I was saying in the last video, the Heady Topper one. It's interesting for me because in Sweden, you know, we've got a good few breweries that are doing the New England IPAs. I'm very close to Copenhagen as well, which has an awesome beer scene these days. But these beers are some of the older New England IPAs. It's always cool to go back and try the original things, if you like, and it's quite different. And the originals are quite different from the New England IPAs we're drinking today. So it really is cool to kind of come along and see how this style has evolved. Because the thing that's unusual about these Alchemist beers for me is how high the IBUs are. Because normally, you know, a lot of people are moving towards drinking low IBU New England IPAs, but these ones have that West Coast bitterness to them. The West Coast IPAs were always quite high and bitter, you know, 70, 80 IBUs. I'm not sure how many IBUs this one is. I would guess it's maybe somewhere around the sort of 60 mark at minimum. But yeah, it's interesting because it has that smoothness that you expect, but it's got a lot more bitterness to it than we've become accustomed to with this style. So there's a little bit of an evolution for you in there. But yeah, I like how this one goes together. It's an interesting kind of hybrid, to be honest. So firstly, you're going to notice in the middle of your palate, it's just blanketed with this nice kind of smooth bready malt there, and the further you go into the aftertaste, you can feel the middle of your palate drying out a little bit. There's a little touch of a kind of biscuity sweetness in the middle of the palate there, but really it starts to lean towards a more kind of brown sort of wholemeal grainy bread sort of thing. The malt base is fairly kind of simple in this, and I think I said the same about the Heady topper as well. It had this, the Heady topper was a little bit smoother right enough, it had a more oaty, creamy kind of note to it. This one, this one could be, it's almost like an American IPA just with an English, a West Coast IPA with a bit of an English malt base to it. This one is a little bit more like a kind of West Coasty IPA in a number of ways, and you can see how clear it is as well, to be honest with you. So this one could maybe be regarded more of a West Coast IPA. So yes, it's an interesting thing that we can debate about beer styles all day, but the main question is whether it's a good beer or not, and to me it is. It's a really nice IPA, this one. Yeah. So, as I said, middle of your palate, it's got a little backbone of those nice grainy, brown bready, wholemeal kind of things. The more you drink of it, the middle of your palate does sweeten up a little bit, and you've got a very light touch of caramel in there, but also a little bit of a biscuity note also. But the hoppy resins in this beer are really nice. At the back corners of the palate, you can feel that there's a little touch of earthiness in there. I've always found that comes from Mosaic, but as you come further forward along the sides of your tongue, it becomes a little bit more sort of spicy and floral. I don't think there's really much pine resin to this one. To me, it's more of a sort of kind of spicy floral quality there, and then round the very front curve of the palate, you've got that nice lighter kind of grassy note to the beer, and behind the front curve of the tongue, that's where you get that nice oily bubble where those juicy fruity notes start to come out of the beer. And you know, the fruits, that what you would expect from Citron Mosaic is there in abundance, to be honest with you. So yeah, if you just go behind, if you just go to the back of that sort of oily bubble behind the front of your tongue, there's definitely a little bit of a grapefruity note to this one, and that lingers into the aftertaste. It actually builds a good bridge between the sort of spicy floral side of the beer and the fruity side of things. But as you come further forward from that, and in the beginning of the flavour, when you just take the beer in, you do get the juicy mangoes, and then further forward on the palate you start to get the more oily but still quite juicy tangerine oranges there, and almost on the very tip of the tongue there is that lemon limey quality, and right in the very centre on the tip of your palate there's a little touch of an almost blueberry flavour. I've always found that the Mosaic hop can give you just this little touch of blueberry almost on the tip of your tongue, but you really, you have to look for that because it is a very nice kind of subtle complexity. But yeah, these things that you're getting out of the hops in this one are really nice. I think the spiciness actually is coming a bit more from the Mosaic than the Citra. I always remember the Citra being quite a smooth hop in terms of its in terms of the green side of things, but Mosaic can be. It's got a little bit of a bolder earthiness to it, and also a little bit of that floral spiciness in there. But let's take a little taste of it out of the can and see how we get on with that, because as I say, they're very insistent that you drink this beer from the can too. Oh yeah. So, you definitely do get a little bit more of a bite from this one when you take it out of the can. Straight away, I mean, the floral, aromatic, spicy kind of things, they come in on the edge of your tongue and just give you a little bit of a bite on a bite on your tongue there. It's almost like a little bit of a kick in the arse or something like that. It really does have a little bit more of a buzz to it in the can, so I really can see why they're recommending that. It does come across quite differently in the can actually. So if you do try this one, put a little bit in a glass and put a bit in and leave a bit in the can and just taste the difference, because you really can. This beer does come across as being a little bit more bitter, if you like, when you drink it out of the can, so that's really interesting. So yeah, but the flavour otherwise is fairly similar. The malt base feels a little bit lighter and crisper right enough, but yeah, everything else that I was mentioning earlier is there in abundance. yeah, I mean, as it stands, it's just a really nice IPA, this one. It's got the kind of bready smoothness that you would expect of a New England IPA. By no means does it have the big kind of oaty creaminess that we've all become accustomed to with the New England IPAs. This is one of these ones where it's almost, you can see that if we think about what a New England IPA is and what a West Coast it is, what a West Coast IPA is, this one's almost like the stepping stone before we got these whole kind of hazy juice bomb sort of things. This one has the nice resinous bitterness, if you like, of the West Coast IPA, but it's starting to get the smoothness that you would expect from the New England IPAs. It's a really interesting one, this. So let's focus on the mouthfeel then. In terms of the mouthfeel, I'd say this beer it's at the top end of mid-bodied. Carbonation does have a little bit of a prickliness to it. The mouthfeel overall, it's got a little bit of an oily character to it, but at the same time there are some elements of crispness in there, I think. The malt base is very smooth, but you get a little bit of that grainy quality there. Like I was saying, the middle of your palate dries out a little bit and you get some of the grainy notes just pushing their way out, but there's a nice hoppy bitterness to the beer. As I say, I think somewhere in the region of 60, 70 IBUs perhaps. Nice juicy fruitiness to it as well. It's got some of these kind of darker fruit flavours, like I was saying, some grapefruit in there, which builds a good bridge between the hoppy side of the beer and the fruity side of things. But overall, it's just a really, really nice beer. To me, this beer comes across as being the step before they've made the transition into the kind of big hazy, oaty and creamy New England IPAs. But the main point to take away from this is that it's another pretty damn awesome beer from the Alchemist Brewery. They've done a damn good job of this, and I certainly wouldn't hesitate to drink it again. So yeah, let's leave it at that for this one. I have to admit, the two IPAs that I've had from these guys make me very curious to try an Imperial Stout or something at the darker side of the spectrum. To get a measure of how good a brewery is, you always have to try something from the lighter side of the spectrum, like an IPA or an Imperial, and you also need to try something from the dark side of the spectrum, such as an Imperial Stout. I'd really love to get hold of one of their stout beers and see how that comes across. But yeah, it's been really cool to review this one for you, and yeah, you know, if you get the chance to try this beer, then I really recommend that you do. So this one was the Focal Banger, an IPA coming in at 7% ABV, kind of a hybrid between a West Coast IPA with its bitterness and the New England IPA with the sort of malty smoothness that it has. Just a very, very nice IPA, and one that you definitely need to have a go at if you get the chance. So once again, thank you for watching my beer reviews. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Let me know your own thoughts on this one in the comment section below. Let me know what your favourite beers are from the Alchemist Brewery as well, and hopefully I can try some more from these guys in the near future, and hopefully I can actually go out to New England and have a visit at their pub in Waterbury as well. That would be really quite cool. So thank you again for watching. Check out my social media, and I will catch you guys very soon. This was the Focal Banger from Waterbury in Vermont over in New England in America. Until the next time, slange just now, and I'll catch you guys later. Skål.